You know that we're back since you heard the coconut loop. Ladies and gentlemen, Tri and Travis here, as always. Brought to you today, of course, by Wilson. We always got our SANDCAST Wilson ball here for a reason, because it's our favorite ball. Speaking of our favorite ball, we had an idea. Let's do a giveaway of our favorite ball.
Doing a giveaway of our favorite ball.
We're gonna give away a Wilson, and if you'd like, you can choose. But we were thinking the SANDCAST team would sign the ball, and then you have an official SANDCAST volleyball.
Yeah, it's our 2-year anniversary coming up. Mm-hmm. We're celebrating a little bit early because I will be out of town in China for our actual 2-year anniversary. So we're celebrating by signing a ball and sending it over to someone a lucky winner.
Yeah.
On SANDCAST.
Yep. And our idea was that, I was actually thinking on the car ride today, I was like, I really am interested to hear fans' perspective on what's truly the most entertaining thing about being a beach volleyball fan. Like, what makes you come back for more? Like, for me, in a lot of sports, like, I want to watch those high-pressure pack moments, like, when everything's on the line. That's what, like, juices me up. But for other people, it might be, like, when a player just makes a super athletic play or, like, bounces the crap out of a ball, or when they're jawing each other, or it could be something off the court, like, I don't know, interacting with a player, or, listening to the SANDCAST. That's probably most people's answers here.
You get brownie points if that is your favorite.
Yeah. But I thought that was interesting, and it'd be cool for players to hear that perspective from fans, because then we can be more entertaining, hopefully, for you guys.
Yeah. So the winner, in order to win the giveaway, you have to go to our Instagram account, which is at @SANDCAST_podcast, and comment on the video that goes with this post. So it'll be up on Wednesday, the day that this episode comes out, and let us know what your favorite part about being a beach volleyball fan is. As Tri mentioned, it can be on the court, it can be off the court, big block, a bounce, a long rally. It could be interacting with the fans. Troy Field was drinking a beer in between serve receives. That was great.
He was?
Could be, yeah.
Huh.
Loomis put up a picture of that the other day. I was cracking up.
What tournament was it? Or what was that?
I want to say it was Manhattan.
Huh.
But yeah, so it could be whatever you want. It could be the McKibben videos. It could be the SANDCAST. It could be Casey Patterson's Instagram. Whatever it may be, let us know what your favorite part about being a beach volleyball fan is and why. And then the winner will get a signed SANDCAST ball.
You also need to tag 2 friends.
Yeah. Tag 2 friends.
Because that's a big part of the show. We need you guys to keep helping us to promote the show and get it out there to the rest of the volleyball community. So tag 2 friends for us. That will be mandatory for the winning post. And while you're at it, make sure you tell your friends to subscribe, because that's big for us in being able to continue to do this show and bring value for our sponsors as well.
Yeah. And if you're listening, then you are probably a subscriber. So we did want to take the time to thank you, the listeners, for hanging with us for 2 years or 2 episodes or however. Maybe this is your first one. We appreciate you guys listening to us. Without the listeners, we don't have a show.
Yep.
And I've had an absolute blast.
We don't even play this game.
Yeah.
We don't even play this game if it's not for the fans.
Yeah. So you guys you're the real MVP, as Kevin Durant would say.
Yeah, your opinion really does matter, because that's our job, really, is to entertain you guys. So This is a very direct question, and it's actually very valuable to us.
Yeah. And so kind of the purpose of the episode is to, kind of do not necessarily a recap, but looking at, how far this show has gone in the last 2 years, and then kind of recapping this year, both, individually for Tri and I, on and off the court. Because, when the show started, you were still sick. You couldn't play. Mm-hmm. Now you are, at the moment, ranked number 1 in the U.S. Olympic rankings.
Am I?
You're a new dad. We've had a lot of changes going on. Your hand's coming back.
Dude, it's been a whirlwind. I can't believe it's been 2 years on this show. And it's, successful. We started it off you got to throw a lot of stuff at the wall and see what sticks. But this has certainly stuck, and it's been awesome. This is our bread and butter. There's a lot of stuff we've tried to do over the years, but this is this has been really fun, and we don't plan on stopping anytime soon.
Yeah, no way. It's funny talking to a lot of the players who, I look at you say a Troy or a Madison, I'm not going to be able to do some of the things that they can do.
Right.
I can't jump like that, but I have the resources that I have at my disposal from this show, the people that I get to talk to, like, it's unreal. So I'm going to keep doing it as long as you guys are keep listening. It's kind of like a cheat code.
Really, yeah. We're learning a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm actually excited to see what player I can put out on the court once I'm not sick and stop breaking my hands and, like, hurting myself. Because I feel like I've learned so much, like, just being on this show and being around athletes. It's more fun to be in the players' tent with everyone because now even the girls' side, like, you know, especially when I first came to the sport, I'm very, like, tunnel vision, like, I want to win. I don't care. Get out of my way kind of thing. I wasn't, like, rude or anything, but, like, you know, you don't really, like, step back and see, like, the big picture. But now I'm, like, enjoying, like, all these relationships and getting to know the new players on tour and hearing their stories and whatnot, and it's good. Yeah. It's been nice.
It's been a ton of fun just to see, like, not only how far, like, you've come. It's like, kind of inspiring to watch because, like, you couldn't sweat.
Yeah.
Like, you weren't allowed to sweat.
I wasn't allowed to, yeah. I could, but I wasn't allowed to. Yeah.
And then, like, now you're, like, back top of the world ranks.
Dude, yeah, like, at one point I went back and listened to our first episode, Buddha Try.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was, like, right after we got back from Indonesia, which was probably, like, that's why we called it Buddha Try. I was, like, very in the...
You're doing, like, 45 minutes of meditation a day.
For, like, 3 weeks straight.
Yeah.
I still crave that, like... It's so hard to, like, that's, like, a serious lifestyle to, like, be able to maintain that.
Yeah.
But I still meditate every day, whether it's, like, a minute, I, like, try to get it in. Mm-hmm. Try to get it in before practice. For sure, I do it before matches. But, dude, yeah, that evolution of where I was and all the things that have happened since then.
Yeah.
All started with the
SANDCAST.
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy.
When I think about, like, so I had... for the listeners who don't know, so I, like, today was the first day I've been able to, like, lift or practice in 2 weeks because I got a concussion in Bon Air. I got in a self-induced moped accident.
I told everyone about my hand. You have to tell everyone about this.
So Kyle Friend and I were, like, taking a little tour around the island on these mopeds, and I was, like, still kind of figuring out, like, how much you needed to turn it to, like, actually get it to turn. I was taking a turn a little loopy, and the car was coming around the other way, and I was, like, moved a little bit more and it wasn't responding. Then I moved a little bit more and it wasn't responding. And then, like, I just yanked it. And then so it turned really sharp to the right and I fell over top of it and fell head first. I had a helmet on, so I would have been, like, pretty dinged up if I didn't have a helmet.
Dude.
And then, so what happened though is that I
can't do this alone, bro.
Yeah. Well, so
you guys would be screwed if Travis goes down.
So Kyle, like, was ahead of me, so, like, the car behind me, like, stopped and, like, made sure I was fine. But we had a match in, like, a couple hours. So we played El Salvador in the quarterfinals, and then the next day we had our semifinal and bronze medal match against Canada. And so what happened was that I didn't really realize, like, I was, like, super cut up and, like, had like, pretty gnarly road rash, but the concussion symptoms didn't set in until a couple days later. So I was watching football on Sunday, and the Sunday we got back, and, like, it sounded like the oven was ready. So, like, went to check it, and, like, there's nothing in the oven. Like, my roommates weren't moving. And I was like, oh, this is just ringing in my head. It's great. And then we had the podcast with Kevin and Jeremy the next day. And I was, like, super woozy and, like, dizzy driving here. And then, like, my ears were ringing super loud during that. And
you didn't say anything.
Yeah. Like, you can see it when I was rewatching the video. You can see me, like, rubbing my ears out and, like, trying to, like, just get it out of there. So then I, like, called Tori Van Winden, who I did a story on about. She's had, like, 5 nasty concussions. And I was like, hey, like, here's what's going on. You've been through this a bunch, like, and she's like, yeah, you have what's called, like, a delayed onset concussion. So
you didn't even go to a doctor?
Well, I did. I did. After the tour, I, like, went to go confirm it with the doctor, and the doctor was like, yeah. So delayed onset concussions, like, when, like, an accident or in sports, the adrenaline is so high that it masks the symptoms. So then I had the adrenaline from the crash and then the adrenaline from 3 consecutive
You're in
matches.
survival mode. Yeah. You're like, your body's like, it doesn't matter. We need to survive.
Yeah.
Like,
so
your old instincts from back in the day.
Yeah. So it just, like, kind of, the adrenaline masked the symptoms. So it didn't set in until, like, 2 days later. So then I had to, and then the doctor was like, yeah, you can't, like, there's nothing you can do. Yeah. You know, like, you can get a CT scan to make sure your brain's not bleeding, which is, like, you had a helmet on, like, you should be fine. So she's like, just rest until, like, you're good and the symptoms go away, which is, like, and then she cleared me on, like, Friday. So to jump? I waited till today. Yeah, to jump and, like, practice and everything.
Dude, you need an off season.
Yeah. No, I definitely need an off season, but we're not going to get one for a while. Because I'm going to, hold on, I'm just fixing the camera. Technology hasn't been the strong suit of SANDCAST.
Done pretty good though.
We've done all right.
Over the years.
Considering.
Yeah. I'm proud of it.
The Mevo died.
So the video portion.
Right. So we won't have video.
It's no longer available.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm going to China in a couple weeks with Mike Bogue for a 3-star. And then from China, I go to Israel for 1 star with Timmy Brewster. And then we're still kind of on the fence about going from Israel to Doha for another 1 star. And then I would have an off season.
So what are your thoughts in terms of, because to me, I'm like, after being on the World Tour for years, I'm like, you're crazy for flying up for 1 stars and all that.
Yeah.
But what's the mindset for you in terms of where you're at in your career? I mean, you're obviously lucky to be a talented journalist and be able to make a pretty much full-time living there.
Yeah. And
then supplement it with being a player, which makes your journalism even better.
Yeah.
So you got a nice little combo. But what's the decision in terms of going to these crazy events?
So for me, that's a great question. And it's funny because not a lot of people ask that. Most people just look at it and why wouldn't you do that? That sounds awesome. Most of those are not beach volleyball players.
Right.
I'll go home and tell people what I'm doing. They're like, oh my gosh, if I could be you. And they don't really know how exhausting it can be.
You're going to Rome. Oh, the Coliseum's going to be great. Yeah, if I win.
Yeah, I'm just going to be from we went, when we were in La Paz for the Norseca, we were just because we made the finals, we had no time to actually go do stuff because we were playing or it was 100 degrees every day, so we were going back to the hotel chill and hang out, and they were playing again. But so coming into this year, I was like, okay, well I've played all 8 AVPs or 7 AVPs last year. I made a couple main draws. This year I kind of want to if an opportunity comes up in beach volleyball, I'm just gonna say yes. And so the first one of that came in February when I was living with Eric Zahn. He calls me. He's like, "Hey, dude, we have we can go to Italy and Austria to play snow volleyball." And I was like, "Yes,
worth it."
Yeah, we'll go do that. So we went to Italy and Austria, and it was awesome. And it's funny because the bonds you make on international trips are so different because you're in a really foreign place. A lot of times you're traveling 16 hours together. And so I traveled to Martinique in October with Ben Vaught and Katie Spieler and Carissa Cook. And we got super close on that trip just because you're kind of just there together. You're a package deal everywhere you go.
Yeah.
And so I saw how fast how deep these relationships were getting built, and I loved it. And I also loved seeing new places, and that snow trip was still one of my favorite things. So then when Kyle was like, "Hey, there's this Norseca, we had to skip New York," or UN was been in New York plenty of times. I grew up in Maryland. Don't need to see it again. It's Gold Series, but it's gonna be there again next year.
Right.
I'll go to Mexico and play Norseca. And then so every time an opportunity came up, it didn't matter how inconvenient it was or whatever. It's super inconvenient to go from China to Israel to Doha. But I was why else would I ever do that?
Yeah.
This sport gets to take you to all these cool places.
Do you feel you're in it for the experiences for the most part, or more to climb the do you have a ranks goal volleyball wise?
Yeah,
or is it more I would think that you kind of want to you want to have played in every tournament to a certain extent so that you can write about it and relate to people about it, because that's kind of your job in our volleyball world.
Yeah, so I look at it there's nothing bad that can happen from me going on these trips.
Right.
Even getting a concussion in Bonaire, it's a funny story. When you are a creative, I make a living writing about beach volleyball, talking about beach volleyball on this podcast, and playing it. And so when even if bad things happen, you have a story to tell.
You need to create or capture stories, right? That's your job.
Yeah, so there's no downside to me doing these things because I'll talk to Volleyball Mag in 1440, be like, hey, I'm gonna go play in China, and Carrie's in China. So now we have someone who is on the road with Carrie for the first time, who can just be a daily log. So even if me and Mike get knocked out 21-10, which I hope doesn't happen,
right.
I'm still there, and I'm going to be of benefit to someone, so I can still continue to make my living in China.
Right.
But I do when I'm playing, playing is the priority,
right?
Because that is my priority. Number one is to climb the ranks, and internationally speaking, this is kind of what you have to do. So I signed up for a couple 2 stars and 3 stars earlier, didn't get in. So I was like, all right, well, I got to play Norsekas to have the points just to get into the qualifiers.
There's a lot of people who are too scared or honestly don't have the resources to take these trips, you know, where you're like putting your money on the line. For a lot of people, it's like everything you have and like betting on yourself to like win. Like luckily for me, I wouldn't have had the money, but I played overseas indoors, so I had a little cushion because I made a little money overseas, and I was able to go on some of these trips and fund it myself. But I think a lot of people are a little too scared to do it, and you have like the perfect incentive to do it.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm in a pretty fortunate situation that not many beach players can probably relate to, because like when I'm going, like it is honestly like it's a revenue stream for me. Even if I go and lose in the qualifier, like I still make money writing stories and freelancing. So like, is it going to atone for an $800 trip from China to Israel? Like, no.
Right.
But it's still going to put me in a position to write stories that no one else can. Which is really valuable, because that's what, I look at it like right now, me and you are pretty much like a market of one. Like we're the only exclusive beach volleyball podcast. And like I'm trying, and like there are more people, like as the sport's growing, there are more people who are able to write knowledgeably about beach volleyball.
For sure.
It's like,
which is what our sport needs.
Yeah. And which is great. But I also need to do things that's going to continue to separate me from like all those other writers. Like, what other writer is going to go play in a 3-star in China and able to like write knowledgeably about it while playing, and then do the same thing in Israel and Doha? Like probably not too many.
You got to play to your strengths, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you also have a background. Like I think probably not many people know that you competed at a pretty high level, and you've been around high level sports for a while. Even like playing basketball and what was it, like the B squad or something? At college or something.
Our club team at Maryland, like. We were pretty much like our scout team, for like the real.
But that's a D1 team, right? Yeah. Like you're playing against the real D1 team.
The guys on like our club team were like Division I players who just like chose to go to Maryland for school.
So to be capable of that is like you understand athletics at a high level. Plus then your golf background. Yeah. And like I could tell right away that you knew how. Like, that's the little step up that you had on everyone kind of coming into it. So you're kind of putting all your strengths together. Yeah. And like creating this, what do they call it, blue market or something like that?
Where you just kind of like, you own it.
Because it's uniquely you, right? Yeah. That's kind of like, that should be everyone's goal with life, right? Like just do something that's so unique to you that you can be the only one that's good at it.
The funny thing is, like, it sounds impossible. Like when you think about that, like, just create your own market. Because like Tim Ferriss used to say that all the time on his podcast, and I was like, well... Like, that's impossible. Like, everyone does everything now. How can you create a market of one? And then, like, I wrote a blog about beach volleyball, and Lee Feinswald calls me and is like, no one's doing this. Like, what do you... I was like, oh, I found it.
There we go.
I just, like, stumbled into it.
I mean, even me, being a player, and then also taking the time... I took classes and, like, really took the time to understand and study. Maybe we could call me fortunate for getting sick for 2 years, you know? But I took advantage of that, and it's something that I enjoy, and it's and pairing it up with something that I'm really knowledgeable at and have a ton of experience, created my own little blue market, and I want to just keep like building on that.
And I think, you mentioned, I'm fortunate. I think that's just the difference in mindset that sets you apart from a lot of other people, because a lot of people could look at that and be like, oh, I was a professional athlete, woe is me, I have this autoimmune disease, like, I'm done, my life is over. But now you look at it and you're like, you know what, I get to be the only beach volleyball player on the planet who's come back from an autoimmune disease and was recovering exactly the way I am and could be an Olympian after.
I got to broadcast the whole season behind the mic.
And then you're developing these other skill sets. Like, you didn't just you had no dead time, and you had every excuse in the world to have dead time. Right. Like, you went and, like you said, you broadcasted, you launched a podcast, which is like way more successful than I think either of us thought.
Yeah, for sure.
And, like, we have a bunch of other ideas that like we're cooking up. Yeah. And so like you're developing all these other skills like alongside of being in the 1% of the 1% at what you do for a living. Yeah. We're going to pause here for a quick break to hear from our sponsors. And as always, before we get to our sponsors, just want to give a shout out to all of you who are listening. We've been doing this for a little bit more than 2 years now, so cannot appreciate you guys more. If you, anytime you share it out with your friends, whenever you subscribe, whenever you download, whenever you listen, whenever you talk about it, or just come up to us at tournaments or whatever, reach out via Instagram, Facebook, email, whatever it may be. We cannot appreciate it more. So appreciate all you you guys, the listeners, and of course we do appreciate the sponsors. Without either the listeners or the sponsors, there is no show for Tri and I to have. So appreciate all of you guys. And the first sponsor, of course, goes to Wilson, who makes the best ball in the game, has always made the best ball in the game. And now that it's off season, it is definitely time to fill up on your new volleyballs. The new Wilson optics should be on sale to the general public in January. Until then, the old balls will be on discount pretty much everywhere you can find them. So if you're not picky about the type of Wilson ball you're playing, definitely load up on some older ones or wait till January. It'd be a great little belated Christmas present to whoever you need. So grab a new bag of balls at Wilson Volleyball. By far the best ball in the game, and I think you can ask pretty much any player. We've all played with the Moulton, we've played with the Mikasa, we've played with the Spalding. Wilson kicks all their butts, by far, easily. Now for sponsor number 2, the guys who keep Tri and I alive, at least our knees, Firefly Recovery. I wear these on the planes pretty much everywhere I go, so you can have some pretty gnarly travel days. Like I had a 27-hour one to a Norseca and put on some Firefly Recoveries. I actually fell asleep with them on and woke up and my knees were feeling so good because it keeps the blood moving even though you are totally stagnant. So it just sends these little pulses of electricity to keep the blood moving, and you recover way faster. So when you get off the plane, it's not like you're totally stiff. You're way looser, and your travel time, like the amount of recovery you need after travel, reduces dramatically because you have the Firefly Recovery on. So appreciate all those guys for keeping us healthy, for keeping our volleyball bags loaded up with brand new volleyballs. And last but not least, shout out to Pacific Coast Wealth Management. And here's our Pacific Coast Wealth Management Olympic update. Leading the Olympic race on the men's side, no shocker here, is Norway's Anders Mole and Christian Sorum, the phenoms from Norway. Number 2, the only guys who really seem to have their number a little bit is Russians Vyacheslav Krasilnikov and Oleg Stoyanovsky. Number 3, Alisson from Brazil making a comeback. Him and Bruno looked pretty brutal after Rio, but now him and Alvaro Filo are number 3 in the world in the Olympic ranks, followed by Evandro and Alisson's partner Bruno Schmidt. German wonder kids, Julius Tali and Clemens Wickler are number 5. For the American side, however, Tri Bourne and Trevor Crabb are still leading the U.S. They are number 11 in the world, number 1 in the U.S. They have 5,960 points, and they are just above Taylor Crabb and Jake Gibb at 5,700. Our third American men's team is Phil Dahlhauser and Nick Lucena. They have 5,360 points. Now, for our Pacific Coast Wealth Management update on the women's end, this is an American-heavy ranking. So after Brazil's Rebecca Cavalcanti and Ana Patricia Silva, who have 8,800 points, at number 1 in the world, we have Alex Kleinman and April Ross. Coming in at number 5 in the world rankings, Olympics-wise, are Carrie Walsh-Jennings and Brooke Sweat. Number 7, Kelly Clays and Sarah Sponsel. Number 9, Kelly Larson and Emily Stockman. And still in the race, to be totally honest, are Sarah Hughes and Summer Ross. They still have 8 finishes, so if they get 4 more, they'll get the required 12. It is an uphill battle, but they are still in the race. So that is your update from Pacific Coast Wealth Management. That is your update from the sponsors. Try and I love all you listeners, love all you sponsors, and now we will get back to your regularly scheduled programming on SANDCAST.
Yeah, I don't even know for sure. That's just the mindset. When I was in it, and like I'm not even going to deny, there's like depression there, and like days, weeks, months at a time where I'm just like, I don't know what to do with myself.
Yeah.
Like, this sucks. At being athletic, even if it's not sports, it's like just being active. That's all I knew in my life. Like, if you knew my family, that's just all we do. My parents are like, my mom's a PE teacher all day, and then she's like paddling all night and whatever, triathletes. And that's just like all I knew. But like in this situation, I was like, I had to rethink it all. I was like, all right, all I know is I want to come out of this better than I was before. So like I just kind of planned it out. Like, what are the things I can get, assuming that I'm going to get better, and I had to stay really solid to that mindset. Like, I'm going to get better. I'm going to be back where I was. What do I want to have learned and gained from this? Like, what do I want to have in my back pocket? What weapons do I want to have gained when I'm back in that position? So now I come back and I got the shotgun on my back. I got a pistol over here. I'm the same guy, but now I'm like what up?
Now you're loaded.
Let's go. I'm loaded. You know what I mean? That was kind of my mindset.
Yeah. What are some of those things that you pulled that you've noticed? Let's try to like pin it down to this year, because like we're kind of recapping this year. So like, you know, maybe you found yourself in a situation where Tri of 2018 was buckled. Tri of 2019 was like, you know, I got that new shotgun on my back or whatever it may be.
It's been tricky because like I came into a completely different situation. Like at first I wanted to come back and like, let's just say on the court, and this applies to on the court, off the court, but on the court I wanted to come in and hit my same sets, hit my shot. I always beat that sharp angle. Everyone knows that. I can tell everyone that. Everyone on the world tour studies and like Tri's going to hit sharp. He's going to go sharper and sharper and sharper until you take it away. And I wanted to do that, but for whatever reason, Hayden's an up and down bump setter. Trevor's a hand setter. He's a good hand setter, but it wasn't on my shoulder the same way.
Right.
It didn't feel the same the whole season. So I had to be like, okay, do I want to try to be the same player that I used to be, or do I want to adapt and like use all the knowledge that I've been trying to save up or like get, you know? So I really had to like come into it and just be like, trust in my new self. Like, dude, you went and you created a new person. You were forced to. Let's use that guy. Let's not like be stuck on like that 2016 guy because he was successful. Yeah. You know, and at that time in 2016, I felt like I mean, I wrote it down in a journal. I probably posted about it too. Like, this is my time. Like, that now I'm going to be the guy for the U.S. Yeah. I didn't think these old guys would stick around so long. I was like,
no kidding.
Whew, I got through this quad with these old guys. This is my time. But I had to come in with like this new mindset. And what I've noticed is that I'm still like in a transition. First of all, I didn't get like the full offset because we had to figure out how my body would react to travel. That was the biggest thing. So like Jose is all scared. Like he's like, do 5 reps. Trevor, you do all 10. I'm like, dude, let me do 10. Like, no. I'm scared.
That's why I love Jose, because he just genuinely cares and like loves you guys.
Totally. And I appreciate that so much, because as an athlete, if my coach is pushing me super hard and I'm the one, no, let me do 8. Like, that's a mind, you know what? Because as an athlete, you want to be the one pushing. Like, because in the games, like, you never want to be like holding yourself back. Yeah. So to have your coach be like, try, no, like, remember what your body went through, like all that stuff. But because of that, and I appreciate that with Jose, and I was able to really like get back into my competitive mindset. But because of that, I don't feel like I really got back to my physical like peak, like where I was before. So that was kind of like a different thing I had to deal with. Before, it was like my trainer pushed me really hard. I worked out with John Hayden. I felt like I was one of the best in shape players on tour. It just wasn't even in my head. Yeah. But now I have this kind of lingering. I'm playing. I felt like I was one of the best blockers, at least technically, in the world. Mm-hmm. And for sure, best blocker under 6'5", in my opinion. Obviously, we can all argue that. Yeah. And now I'm coming back and I'm getting half the reps because now I'm trying to learn defense. Yeah. And prove something that I've always believed, which is like, I think I'm great at defense. I played libero in college. I grew up in Hawaii. We take a lot of pride in our passing and defense. And like when you played indoors, coaches didn't teach us how to block, how to hit. That was just like, that's going to happen. Yeah. It was all about passing and defense. So I had to kind of prove that to myself, and I guess the rest of the world too. And I was just kind of, I feel like I've been scattered, and we haven't been like running really intricate plays. Me and Trevor were just trying to figure out what the hell we're doing. I learned that my blocking is going to be a lot harder when I'm not in time with my defender. Like, I kind of took that for granted with Hayden because he's one of the most precise defenders in terms of movement and location. So like, I was getting a lot of blocks. I felt like an amazing blocker, but I also had a guy behind me who was baiting people to hit. Yeah. And I was baiting them. But like, if Trevor leaves early, or if he tends to go earlier or tends to go later, then I'm making my moves at the net, then the defender's going to see him. Like, if the defender sees him, then the block's no longer in the play. Right. So I'm getting less blocks. Stuff like that, you know? There's just all this new stuff we're having to learn. So I'm really having to like take a step back. Like, okay, you don't feel like you're blocking the way you used to. Yeah. It's okay, because we're winning matches. We're finding ways to win, and it's all completely different. But I just had to sit back and trust. Be like, trust this team you put together. You put a lot of thought into hiring Jose, partnering with Trevor, keep staying with my personal trainer, using USA Volleyball. Trust this team. It doesn't have to be perfect. That's kind of been the most difficult part. But now then I broke my hand. Like, freaking, I felt like I was like, because travel was getting a little less crazy towards the end, and the tournaments were getting bigger, like the 5 stars and stuff. So I was like, okay, it's go. Me and Trev knew it was go time. We got our lead, and then we were going into the 5 stars. Like, all right, these are the ones that are going to decide it. And then I break my hand. I mean, we didn't do well in Stade before I broke my hand. Yeah. But then, Vienna and Rome were kind of out the door. So, like, I had to kind of take a few steps back, and I feel like I never really got to where I was capable of getting. But then I have to look at it again and look back like, you had a great year this year. Like, you didn't feel like you played the way that you used to, but you played with what you were given and, like, what your teammate brings and what your coach brings. And we just kind of worked together really well. And I feel like I pretty much got the same results. I mean, me and Hayden got 5th at World Champs. Me and Trevor got 4th. Yeah. I mean, in some ways you could say I'm playing better volleyball than I ever have. I am applying a lot of that, like, mindset stuff. I can snap in. I can bring myself back into focus better nowadays. I'm very, like, secure nowadays with, like, I'll sit in front of a crowd of 10,000 and do a meditation if I need to. Whereas before it's like, no. I'm, like, hiding, just stuff like that. And obviously speaking to the media and addressing fans or reporters or whatever, like, I feel way more comfortable, and I feel like I can be more honest with the fans. And I think that if every player can do that will bring a lot more value to our sport. And at the end of the day, that's pretty much the goal. Like, while I'm playing, I want it to be, like, elite. I don't want it to be like, oh man, what if we played back in the Karai era? Yeah. Or what if we played back when, like, Loyola was making $500,000 or whatever. Yeah. I want to be, like, in that, and I want to be a top player during that time, and a part of the whole Olympic journey and all that great stuff. Hopefully get a medal. Like, it excites me just to know that it's possible, and also to know that I don't even feel like I was saying, I don't even feel like I've been playing well. Like, there's so many things that I'm, like, with Jose every day, like, dude, I sucked at this year. Imagine if I add that back in. Yeah. Jose, you haven't even seen me block well yet. I swear, like, I'm so much better than. He's like, I remember, dude. I was coaching against you. It's like, oh yeah. He's like, just be patient, bro. I'm like, my passing, I could do this better. I could do that better. Me and Trevor don't even run plays. We're just winging it. Yeah. We're just playing because we're instinctual. Yeah. At the end of the day, we run stuff, and then at the end we're like, all right, screw it. Like, let's just ball. Like, a lot of the times in the big situations, like when we're talking and the crowd's going crazy at World Champs, that's the biggest event, most of the dialogue between us is like, bro, you remember the baby court? Let's go. Like, screw this. I love that. These guys got nothing on it. You know, it wasn't like we're doing crazy strategy and stuff, which I really want to learn more and be, like, a little better at, a little more of a professor, a little Todd Raji-esque. But, it's exciting, dude. It's just really exciting. And I think the biggest thing was, like, trusting. Just trust that all the work you put in, let it apply itself. Don't try to control it. Like, no, I have to be good at this because I used to be good at that, and I'm going to hang on to everything I had in 2016. No, just, like, put in the work, put yourself in good situations to learn, and then trust, like, what person comes out of that, what player comes out of that. And I think I've done that well. Like I said, like, nothing felt perfect, but I think I've done that well, and I think that that's going to help me moving forward. And right now, I think the most important thing in order to accomplish that is to stay healthy. Yeah. So that's my goal. Stay healthy, and then I want to see what happens. Yeah, SANDCAST crew, dude. Let's make a pact. We need to stay healthy. Send us good vibes, people. We need to still have fun, which is a whole nother conversation. Like, I haven't surfed in, like, a year, and it's like killing me.
I went surfing for the first time in Hawaii.
Dude.
4 straight days.
How's your nipple rash?
Dude, that took a while. Oh my god.
When you told me you went out on a soft top. Like regular surfboards are like fiberglass, and if you're a beginner, I mean other people use soft tops, but
yeah,
I know those Waikiki soft tops.
Oh, yeah.
They'll rub you raw.
I was like, oh my god, dude, I can't wear a shirt.
A hot shower after.
It was fun, and that's like, you know, I think when you look at the year holistically, like taking everything in, like you mentioned that you felt like you left so much on the table, and yet when you're able to like step back and be like, this was my best year. Like you and Trev had a better finish than you and Hayden, and like I think it's super valuable to look at that because there are so many people who have recency bias,
right?
Or you know, if say someone got like Kyle was super bummed.
It's kind of like the beginner's mind thing, right?
Yeah.
Like that. It's like that mindset. I think. Yeah, like you're just holding on to something else, and you're not trusting.
Yeah, because
what the
it's just
future
like
holds.
you know. So Kyle got knocked out first round in the Hawaii qualifier to John Schwingle and Steve Irvin, probably a team that he would beat 7 times out of 10. But on that day, like John and Steve balled out. Like Steve just goes in these serving runs.
Yeah.
So Kyle was like super bummed about it. And we were talking in Bon Air, and I was like, Kyle, like this was like by far the best year like you've had. You switched to a new position. Like take a look at it like from Huntington when you almost upset Jake and Tay in the first round to like where you are now. Like you were automatic into a small draw. You made almost every main draw except for 2, I think. Like you had a great year, and I think it's really valuable to be able to step back and look at it, and even stuff off the court. Like what a good year this was for you off the court. Like you just had a kid, and like you and Gabby were doing great, and like you know that's what like the surfing in Hawaii brought that up. Like we get to do so many cool things that make this season awesome, and like surfing in Hawaii is great. But then like even on the court, like you had career finishes, and I had like I think my AVP finishes were like the exact same.
If I look at my AVPs, I made like 17 of 18. If you look at like the BBB, whatever, me and Hayden made 17 of 18 semifinals in AVPs, and I got 2 7ths this year. Yeah. Right? I think I did. Yeah.
Like
I never got a 7th. I got 1 7th with Hayden, and we were like distraught. And I got 2 this year.
Yeah.
And I got 1 last year and a 5th last year when I was just coming back.
Yeah.
Like that, I could easily look at that and just be like, this is so depressing. I'm 3 years past where I was back then, and I'm way behind. But it's not really true. You know, it just depends on how you want to look at it.
Yeah, because like results are, I mean, I'll look at Manhattan. You know, me and Rafi, we went 0-2. We were automatically in, which is freaking awesome. And then we played Chase and Avery, and we played some of our best volleyball, and we lost like 16-14
you guys played good.
In the third or something. And then we played Kalinsky and Baranek, and we lost 15-12, and we won like what I call the popular vote in both. We scored more points than Chase and Avery, and we scored more points than Billy and Eric.
And that was their best tournament of their lives.
Yeah, and like they got like a 7th and a 3rd. And Rafi was like, dude, like we must have played bad. Like we lost. I was like, Rafi, we played 10 times better than we did in the tournament that we won to win that. And we just lost. And like that happens sometimes. And I looked at it as like a hard thing to wrestle with. Like I played so good and it wasn't enough. And that kind of sucks, but like you can't control results. It's like if I play like that in 8 AVPs, the results will come. Like not every time. Like are weird things gonna happen? Like happened with like Chase and Avery and Billy and Eric. Like
totally
weird shit went down.
Yeah, dude, it's for anyone. This applies like, and I think about it too. Like I'm not gonna be able to play volleyball my whole life.
Yeah.
So like this off the court stuff is important. And that self-reflection part of it where, like, you really think a little deeper before you let yourself go to that place, that negative place. Like, sit back and be like, oh, wait, I mean, there was this positive thing, that thing. And that year that I'm comparing it to that I think is better, this happened, that happened, this happened. And you're like, wow. Like, it's just different. It's not that it's better or worse or, like, you know, you're supposed to be growing as a person, but, like, in sports, it's like you're not always going to grow. Like your record might not be better the next season, but you could be a better player, you know? And I think that's super important to like for anyone in anything. Like I'm going to need to understand this and apply this to something other than being an athlete after volleyball.
Yeah.
You know? So, like, I think, why not start now? And start, like, just being honest with myself. And you have to take chances, too. Like,
yeah. I think that's a huge part of really being successful in anything, but especially in this sport. Like, you do have to take risks. And it doesn't mean... Like, one of my least favorite pieces of advice that people get in this sport is, you know, put down $8,000 on the credit card and just go. It's like, don't, like, cripple yourself.
Yeah.
But, like, if you have an opportunity to go and you have the means to go, and maybe it'll be a little bit tight and you kind of get that, like, kind of tight feeling in your chest, and you're like, I don't know. Like, that probably means
now you're living.
You can do it. Like, that's probably something you should go after a little bit. Like, if it scares you to a reasonable degree where it's just like, I want to do this, but it sounds like kind of risky, like, you should absolutely do that thing.
Like, if your answer to yourself is, I'm going to do this because it scares me, I think that's a great reason to do it.
Yeah.
You know? Not like, I'm going to do this because, or this would be stupid to do, I'm going to do it anyway. Like,
yeah.
If you think it's stupid, don't do it.
Yeah.
But, like, it's like, I want it so bad. Like, I can't sleep because I want to go to this tournament, but I can't afford it. Okay, but the fact that you can't sleep and you want it that bad, like, how valuable is that?
Find a way
just to experience it.
Yeah. Like, if you want it bad enough, like, you will figure it out.
Yep.
And that's, like, part of the reason, one of the big motivators for me to go to China. Like, I really have no desire to go to Qingzhou, China. Like, nothing about it. But
been there, done that.
I do, like, I've written about guys playing on the FIVB, like, taking that ticket to go play in a country quota, into a qualifier, into a main draw where they have to win 3 matches just to make up for the plane ticket. And
not to mention the 2-hour bus ride after you get
right,
there.
Exactly. So, like, the flight I have to China, I think it's like 20 hours travel plus a 9-hour difference. So I'm on a red eye, so I'm technically moving up 2 days. And so, like, that is something that, like, if I do want to, like, write about it and take myself seriously, like, that's something that you have to do.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna have to take that jump eventually, and, like, right now is the perfect time for me to do it because I'm sneaking into a 3-star.
Right.
And I wouldn't be able to do it during season. Like, I tried, didn't make any of them. And so, like, I look at it, I'm like, well, I'm not going to get this opportunity for a while. I'm like, if I'm going to sit here and tell people, like, you got to take shots and stuff, like, I need to do it.
Yeah.
So, and that's one of the things that I wanted to do. Like, it's a respect thing, too, where, like, I do think, like, I respect guys who go out there and play the country quota in Vienna, which is, like, not a cheap place to fly into. And then, like, you can lose in 20 minutes and come on back. Totally. That's it.
Yeah. Dude, totally. It is what you make it, really.
Yeah.
You got to... At the end of the day, I say it all the time, like, a lot of people come in with tunnel vision of what their career is supposed to look like. Like, just go and try to win as many matches as possible. And then, depending on how many wins you get, like, that's where you end. Like, that's your value, which is just not true. It's like, it's your life. You're just doing it through volleyball. So, like, create it and, like, create your own path. And, like, obstacles are going to come, and it's like, oh, cool, that's, like, a unique detour to my path.
Yeah.
You know? I think that's important.
Yeah. And one of the things that I love that Baranek said when we had him on is that everyone has their time. So, you know, you look at a guy like Casey Patterson. His time took a long time for him to come into. Like, he was in and out of qualifiers and losing, and, like, he was blocking, then he was defending, and, like, he had a pretty slow start.
Yeah, for a while there, I'm sitting behind him.
Yeah.
Like, my whole beginning of my career, I'm kind of sitting behind him, like, thinking this guy's got it all. He's like, damn it, he's like winning everything with Jake, and he's just killing it, and damn it, I've been behind him this whole time, you know? Whereas, like, he's went through this 10 years before.
It took a long time to hit that peak.
He's trying to get up to, like, where I was even battling him, you know? Like, he wasn't even at where I was for so long, but, like, it's all about perspective.
Exactly. And then, so you look at a guy like Casey, who I think his timeline is, like, a normal thing to look at. But people don't want that, like, 10-year grind of, like, oh, I didn't qualify, I made a main draw, then I lost first round qualifier, and then, like, you know, 5 or 6 years later, you're finally automatic to all of them.
Yeah.
Like, people want sort of, like, the Troy Field, like, you know, 2 years ago, he made his first main draw in Manhattan, and then, like, you know, he's kind of like this guy who could jump super high, and then now he's making finals.
Yeah.
He made, like, 4 straight Sundays to start the year, and, like, people just want that. It's like, well, that isn't going to happen. Like, everyone looks at the outliers and, like, that's what I want it to be.
Right.
Like, you need to understand. And I talked to Ben Vaught about this stuff a lot because he was, like, super bummed at how the year was going because he was like, he didn't make main draw. I think in 4 straight after Huntington.
I think he overthinks it a little bit.
Yeah.
Like,
he's like, dude, like, what's
such
going
a good
on?
dude because he's
like,
so genuine,
yeah.
like cares so much. But that's like what I'm talking about when you're young and like you kind of have that tunnel vision.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, oh, if I'm not winning, I'm not successful. I'm not doing it right.
And that's like verbatim what Ben was saying. And I was like, Ben, all right, are you a better player this year than you were last year? He's like, yes. All right. I was like, is your ceiling higher than it was last year? Yes. I was like, so what's the problem? He's like, well, like, why am I not winning then? I was like, because it just doesn't happen. I was like, I think one of the hardest things for people, especially beach fans, to recognize is like how much like the qualifier players, like you look at it and they're like, oh, he had a terrible year. Well, he played in 5 AVPs. Like, if you judge your year on 5 tournaments, like, that's not a lot of like data to go on. So that's why, like, I think I played in 35 tournaments this year. And it's like when I look at the AVPs, I'm like, well, I qualified in 2, which was the same. But coming into this year, I'd only ever won like 3 in California, and this year I won 12. So I look at that and I'm like, I had a great year. Like, the bigger tournaments, like, I did okay. You know, I did the same as last year, but like if you only judge yourself in the AVPs, like, you're kind of screwed. That'd be like you only judging your year on like the majors.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
it's impossible.
Totally.
Like, you need to look at it.
Or the
AVPs.
AVPs. Yeah, totally.
That's why I like, you know, a pretty common piece of advice on this show is like to play as much as you can. So I think like take that to a certain degree, like play as much as you can without getting burned out and injured. Because then you have so much more to look at your year at. You have so many more opportunities to be successful.
And but play like to the extent that you enjoy it.
Exactly.
And like, so like, for example, for me, I think I go about my days a lot differently than a lot of other players. Let's just say Troy, since we're talking about him.
Yeah.
There's something about Troy that like he wants to be a part of like the community and like go on all the fun trips and interact with fans and like he's just like giddy about volleyball. Like, that guy's horny for volleyball. And I'm kind of like, you know, I've played this since like I've been on the youth national team since I was like 17 or something, and I've traveled the world and I've been a part of teams and I've been on this, you know, been in this sport for a while now, and like what gets me going is different than what gets him going. Like, I love the professionalism part of it. Not professionalism, but like I love getting in with my trainer and we just like are talking just like
getting after it
deep, and he's pushing me like really hard, and I feel like I'm getting better and I'm learning things. I'm listening to podcasts on the way to the gym. I go down to the beach a little early to do my meditation and like try to get the most out of practice. Like, when I feel like like when I listen to Kobe Bryant talk and like all these pro athletes, I'm like, yeah, I like that. I want that. When I see like what Misty May, Carrie Walsh, Jennings, and whatever, Karch, Loyola, like all these greats have done, I'm like, April, like when I look at what April has done, like she's going into ESPYs on the red carpet and like well spoken. She speaks to groups of kids and like I'm like, I like that stuff. I want to do that. I want to go be an Olympian. Like, if I can say and I know the day that I become an Olympian, which I think is going to happen, I'm going to move on. I'm going to be like, all right, well, now I'm an Olympian. There's no point in, you know, worrying about this. Now I need to get a medal. Yeah. But you can't really worry about that medal until you get there. Right. But like, that's the stuff that I enjoy. And I think if every player tried to go about it, like, let's say Madison and Riley McKibbins, they're doing it in their own way. Like Madison, I've known him for years and years and years, and I played in college with both of them. He doesn't enjoy that same like, he doesn't get like super up for like, yes, I'm gonna go get better and lift weights today. Like, he loves the same thing, like camaraderie. He loves the art of making a good media piece that like touches people, you know, like he's a little deeper on that level, and like he works hard. He knows how. He grew up in a very athletic family, but it's just different. Like, the motivations are different, and I think it's important. Like, when I was out, I did a lot of self-reflection, so I was able to really be like, yeah, like, that's me. Like, and it helps me kind of cut these other things out. Like, I don't feel as bad nowadays, and it did bother me for a long time, like missing out on, oh, everyone's out tonight, and I'm not there, which is like, now I have a kid. Like, I've completely stopped getting the calls from everyone, even my closest friends. They're like down the street, all hanging out. They're like, oh, we hung out at Riley's the other night, and everyone was there. And I was like, oh, weird, I didn't get a call. And I'm like, I get it though. I'm like, they're probably just thinking I'm at home with my kid, and like I am busy all the time. Like, they see my schedule, but you have to. But I've gotten better at like, okay, I guess maybe that's not me. You know, I just focus on being me, the most genuine version of myself. And then I have a lot of social stuff in my house. Like there's a lot of barbecues here and bonfires and like
fire pit.
You know, it's just become me, and I've allowed that to happen by like kind of just letting other things fall away.
Yeah.
And just doing a lot of self-reflection on figuring out what my vibe is.
Yeah. I think that's super important is, like you said, to find whatever it is that makes you happy in the sport. Because I think Delaney mentioned this when we had her on, is that like if you're in this for the money, then like you're going to be out of it pretty fast. Cause, like it's, unless you are at the top, which no one just jumps there.
But I'm even listening to podcasts like yesterday, today, where those guys who are making millions and millions say the exact same thing.
Yeah. They're not in it. Like,
and they have it even harder because they're so brainwashed by the money.
Mm-hmm.
Like they think that this is the real life, and then like it's over, and they're just like. There was a statistic like 87% of these football players lose their money or something, or like are depressed or like something crazy like that.
Broke. Yeah,
dude.
Like, you never get enough money. Like when we started this podcast, we were like, oh, like we might make like $20 or something.
Yeah,
and
now
like,
we're making like $1 million an episode.
Yeah, at least, and like we're still humble as ever.
We're actually on a yacht right now.
Yeah. The video's not up, so they don't even know.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, like you mentioned, like find whatever makes you happy. So like maybe you're in this for like the part. Like I know a lot of the qualifier guys, like they couldn't give like two shits if they don't qualify. They're like, yeah, I get to like. Go like after I'm knocked out, I get to go watch Rosie play and then see him at the players' party, and like they love that.
Right. Yeah.
And like Ed Keller is one of my favorite examples of this. So classic. He's like 16th Street guy, like knows everyone.
We need to get him on, by the way.
Yeah, we do. Super volley enthusiast for those of you who haven't met him or seen him there, but
that's his label. It's volley enthusiast.
Yeah. Like he knows everything about volleyball and just like travels around and like he loves it. And I saw him this morning and like we talked about how many countries he's been to and how many miles he's traveled this year, and it's just like through the roof.
Dude, he comes to like the worst events too. Like you'll see him, he'll pop up, and you're like in China. Like, why'd you come to this, dude?
We were talking about Xiamen Airlines today.
Right.
Yeah. He like knows about it.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?
Oh, he knows more about the tour than I do. And when we're at events, he'll like pop up, be like, "Try, what's up, dude?"
Yeah.
Like, did you see who played? Did you see that match earlier? Who played who? And then at this time and this. Like the women's matches, men's matches, everyone. I'm like, oh, dude, I'd bail. I'm not watching any of this tournament. I'm like trying to like play, rest. Yeah. And he's just like giving me all the updates and
just
scouting our parts.
Yeah, like you love awesome. Just like find whatever like makes you stoked about the sport. Mm-hmm. Like you love the professionalism. Like Troy loves the engagement with the crowd. Right. And Maddie and Riley like love making their huge media pieces. And like one of my favorite parts of it is like the relationships that you build. Like the really like good, deep, authentic relationships, and that's why like I love international travels because I think that like when you travel with a group of people, like you're gonna get deep with them. Like when you're stuck on a plane for 16 hours, like I shared headphones with Emily Hartong for like
I agree. There's for sure. Like I don't think I would. Like we all kind of know Phil's a little hard to like have a conversation. Not that he doesn't have good conversations, but he's just like. A lot of people over the years have wanted to get at him, so he's a little like in his own shell a little. But if I didn't have these great conversations with him like overseas when we're sitting next to each other on a plane, like I wouldn't have gotten to know the guy really well. Right. And I, especially when I was younger, like I was stoked. Like, oh yeah, cruising with Phil Dahlhauser, sick, or Nick Luceno, whatever. Mm-hmm. But yeah, totally. Like that's where the juice is at.
Yeah, and I think for me, because like one of my favorite parts is also like telling people stories, and like you can only like, you can only really get the real story if you do like get close to them and they'll like kind of let down their guard and like kind of open up. So like Tori Van Winden's like Katie Spieler's cousin, and so Katie's like one of my best friends now, and so Tori like was able she was like pretty open with me because like she listens to all of our podcasts. And she was talking about that. She's like, yeah, I love the show. Like, I would love it. Like, if you told this story about like all my concussions, like I like love that stuff. And that's why I love this sport is because like there hasn't really been someone to tell like the stories of the players. Like there will always be people who can like be like, oh, Tri Bourne and Trevor Crabb beat Travis and Miles 2018, 2010. Right.
Yeah,
like, it's not that hard to do.
They're not going to know that Katie Spieler gives everyone honey straight from her honey farm, which I've been eating every morning. And every time she brings a new bottle It has a little bow tie of Spieler honey. And it's a different, I wasn't thinking it'd be like different flavor. But she's like, oh, this one's a little sweeter, like lighter.
It's because you talk to Katie,
it's a whole different like beehive or whatever. So you get a different flavor. So every few months I get new honey from Katie Spieler.
You gotta talk to her about like she's like learning how to brew her own kombucha now, and so that's a whole new topic.
Spielbucha.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. So like this, like what have been some of the biggest things you've learned on the court this year and off the court?
I think, I mean, off the court, a lot of it's been like letting go of like stuff I was talking about earlier, you know, letting go of fear of FOMO stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's like I don't like missing out on stuff.
Yeah.
And but like I have to accept that I created a new life that's like so good and great. I don't want to spend time being anxious. Like I'm wasting that time.
Yeah.
And like my dad says that a lot because he is anxious a lot. But like he's like, why did I wake up and like think about this negative thing or like this thing I missed out on this morning for like an hour when it was a perfectly good day. Like I'm just wasting, you know? So just like not wasting time with stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because you're always going to miss out on stuff. There's guaranteed. Like the boys are in Qatar right now. Like Riley's one of my best friends.
Yeah. And
they're probably partying. Casey's out there because he knows how to give a good time. Cook. Taylor's out there. He's my competition. I'm like, I'm like over here resting, like trying not to get injured. And he's playing in a forest tournament in Qatar where like, I'm like at the end of the season, like I'm not traveling anymore. Yeah. And he's just like having fun over there with, I'm like, damn it. Should I be doing this stuff? He's still winning tournaments and he's partying and like, gosh, maybe I should party and, you know, you can't get sucked into that. It's like Trevor Crabb is one of a kind.
Yeah.
All those guys, Casey, he's got 4 kids, but he's still, you know, it makes time to go enjoy those things about volleyball. And I hope to enjoy those one day too, but for now I'm like, I love what I love. So I'm going to do that. On the court, what did I learn? I learned, or I proved to myself that I can be good at defense. It's been ugly at times, for sure. But, like, I feel like until you do it, you can't say that you're good at defense. Like, I remember saying it a few times, like, around the top guys, like, over the years ago when I was playing Haydn, he rolls his eyes every time. All the guys just like, yeah, okay, yeah, we've seen you in the backcourt. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not getting reps. Like, I promise, I could do this. But you can't do it until you do it, right? And now I've kind of proven that to myself and others that I'm not going to say I was great at it. Like, I feel like I have a lot more to learn and get better, but I can do it.
Yeah.
And I think I've proven to myself that all the work I put in was worth it. Like, I gained stuff out of that 2 years that I lost.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing I learned is that wasn't just a certain time in my life. Like, oh, that was the time in my life that I learned and I gained something from it, and now I'm just going to have that stuff that I gained the rest of my life. Like, no, like, that's a continuous thing. I just got to be that person always. And, like, I need to learn from this year and then throw next year on top of that and throw next year and just see what, you know, person I develop into.
Yeah.
Because I think I'm trying to find the key to being better at volleyball. And I think that's kind of the thing I've been noticing is, like, just learn one little thing at a time. Because I'm like, I come back, I'm like, I want to be Raji. By the end of off season, I want to be Todd Rogers in terms of, like, learning and understanding the game and strategy and all that. And then I really think about it, I'm like, dude, if you've played so much volleyball in your life, there's not even that much there is, but there isn't even that much to gain. Like, if you can learn one little thing, like be a little bit better at volleyball, that's a big thing on the stage that I'm playing at, you know? So I think, just get a little better.
Yeah.
Just try to get a little bit better. And you'll
1% better every day.
I think that's what I've learned is that growth is the thing that makes you happy. Like, I just need to grow. When I was out, it was like, I feel like crap because I'm not going anywhere. And then I would like write something or like do something productive. And I was like, oh, that feels good.
Yeah.
And I could like not be anxious. And then I'd be like sitting around like, I'm not getting anything done. And then I'd like go to a class or like I'd learn something or I'd get an opportunity to do something. And I'd be like, that feels good.
Yeah.
Whether I made money or not. I just wanted to grow as a person. And so I think that's like the goal from now on is like, just keep growing. Doesn't matter how fast, just move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that.
It's a lot.
Yeah. But that's good.
Yeah.
And that means you learned a lot.
Totally. Yeah. Guess so.
That's what we're here for.
My dad's saying is the older you get, the more you realize you don't know.
Yeah.
It's probably not my dad's saying, but he says that all the time.
Yeah. I heard Neil deGrasse Tyson said that as the area of our knowledge grows, so too does the perimeter of our ignorance. Mm-hmm. So like as we learn more, we're like, oh my gosh, I have no idea about anything.
Like that's literally true. Yeah. And like the things to learn are evolving, right? So like if you knew something, well now it's a year later. Yeah. So everything has changed.
Yeah, that's why I used to. One of the things I did when I was like freelancing full time. I still do kind of freelance full time, but I was teaching or helping high school kids with their college application essays, and they're like being discouraged from like learning computer science now because you can learn computer science and then a year later like it's irrelevant because what you just learned is like ancient.
So you gotta learn. You gotta learn the science, the growth of computer technology, right? Yeah, and then like be a part of it.
Yeah, so that's why like a lot of people are learning more
coding
like
and stuff,
writing, and just a lot more sort of loose arts that. Like writing is timeless. Like you'll always have to be able to write and communicate. So people learn that like communication is still the most critical tool you have. Mm-hmm. So people are starting to move into that area.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally. That's what I'm getting into.
There you go.
I should have majored in that instead of real estate, instead of whatever I majored in.
You're getting, now it's SANDCAST year 2, so this is podcast 210.
Dude, this is like a comm minor, right?
This is way better.
I actually took sports communication in college.
Yeah, and I think you probably learned a lot more from doing this podcast for 2 years. And
way more.
Classes are overrated.
Yeah, I got to go to a Dodger game. That's literally all I remember. Yeah.
We're probably coming up-ish on time.
Yeah, they might be. Well, my baby's probably going to start crying. The pod baby.
The pod baby. Naia Zuri.
I got a baby that's 4 weeks old right now.
By this time next year, she might be able to like have a few words for us on the podcast, year 3.
Oh, yeah. What are her first words going to be?
SANDCAST.
SANDCAST.
So before we close, I want to say another thanks to the listeners for either subscribing or downloading. So welcome back or welcome to the show.
Yeah.
We're going to keep growing in year 3. Hopefully roll out some more stuff. We have some exciting off-season plans with a little bit of downtime.
There's a lot of ideas going here, people.
Yeah.
Like we said before, they got to stick.
Yeah.
But the ideas are going to keep coming, and something will come out of it. So stay excited. Stay patient, but stay excited.
We'll keep bringing the audio product. We're going to see what other kinds of things that we can roll out for you guys. If you haven't subscribed to the show, we would love it if you do, and share it with a friend. And don't forget about the giveaway. So let us know what your favorite part about beach volleyball is. Tag 2 friends, and you might be the winner of the new SANDCAST volleyball.
All right. Shoots, guys. Peace.